All right. So this is going to be the pre-lab video for experiment number 35, which is another titration. So this is redox titrations. And so what we're looking to do on this one is we're going to be taking some oxidizing agents, things that you might have around the house, so things like bleach. And we're going to look at how well it, we're going to look at the oxidizing capacity by doing the titration. Yep. Now, in your pre-lab, it kind of works through a couple of these different ones, right? So there's like a dichromate as an oxidizing agent. There's a manganate. Right? But primarily for our chlorines, or for our bleaches, we're using some type of chlorine-based one. Right? And so our process is that we have HClO, and we are going to react that with an acid to produce chlorine, water, as it oxidizes. And we're going to combine that for our titration with an iodine reaction. So we're going to take iodide, and we're going to turn it into iodine. And so this is where we're going to look at our redox titration. Is to take our bleach, which is this HClO, react it with this iodide, and then we're going to do a titration to figure that out. Now, we've done an iodine titration before, and we've used it with that thiosulfate, starch, and point. This is the one where it's going to turn a blue color for its endpoint. And so that reaction is we're taking the thiosulfate, S2O3, we're turning that into S4O6 and 2 electrons. And we're taking that I2 so overall reaction is really this 2S2O3, 2 minus, plus I2, 2I minus, plus S4O6, 2 minus. So the idea behind our reaction is we are going to take the bleach, we're going to react it to form I2, and then when you take that I2, we're going to react it to form S4O6. When we can finally get rid of all of that I2 and that I minus, right, then we're going to find that endpoint, which is going to be our starch complex. And so that's our endpoint. Now, the important part to remember is you want to pay attention to your ratios between your HClO and your iodine and your S2O3. Because our HClO, this reaction, and this reaction are getting combined. So when we look at that ratio, our HClO is a 1-to-1 with iodine, and then our S2O3 is a 2-to-1 to our iodine. So it's really 2 S2O3 to 1 ClO. So just keep that in mind as you work through your reaction. So how we're going to do this is in part 1, we're going to do an online simulation where the simulation will give you a concentration of I2. And you do an online titration to determine your concentration of S2O3. Now, I'll go over in your lab data how you're going to take care of that data and how you collect it. But this is what you're going to use for part 1. So in part 1, you will come up with your own S2O3 2- concentration. So part 1, all online simulation. Part 2 will be a given data from a Google spreadsheet. So I'll go through and I'm going to give you a trial 1 and a trial 2 data for A and B. And so that way you'll be able to work your way through that and you'll be able to calculate your information. So I'll give you, oh, I guess I don't need it, right? I'll give you a standard concentration of NaS2O3 that you should use. So this will not be the same as what you calculate from part 1. The second part will be then that you calculate them, you figure out what your average percents are, right? And you get your way through that part. We will not do part 3 because we don't have the ability to give you guys an unknown, and so you won't have to worry about that part. You will do both questions. But no, consider this. Now, unfortunately, the rubric that I use for your grade scope is going to have a consider this page on it. It's okay for the consider this page to be blank. Okay. I've attached a video that shows you what a titration looks like between bleach and your thiosulfate, so you can always see that one as well, so you can see visually what that looks like. But if you have any questions, then please let me know. Otherwise, I think that this experiment is pretty straightforward because you've already done this titration before. We just didn't know, or at that time I hadn't told you that was a redox titration as you went through it. We just were looking for that starch endpoint with the blue.